Mocking the true words, they refuse to recognize the profound significance of our teachings of Srama. Then Buddha turned to call out. Ananta and Kasyapa, take the four of them to the space beneath the precious tower. Give them a vegetarian meal first. After the Megare, open our treasure loft for them, and select a few scrolls from each of the 35 divisions of our 3 canons, so that they may take them back to the land of the East as a perpetual token of grace. The 2 honored ones obeyed and took the 4 pilgrims to the space beneath the tower, where countless rare dainties and exotic treasures were laid out in a seemingly endless spread. Those deities in charge of offerings and sacrifices began to serve a magnificent feast of divine food, tea, and fruit, viands of 100 flavors completely different from those of the mortal world. After master and disciples had bowed to give thanks to Buddha, they abandoned themselves to enjoyment. In truth, treasure flames, gold beams on their eyes have shined. Strange fragrance and feed even more refined. Boundlessly fair the tower of gold appears. There's immortal music that clears the ears. Such divine fare and flower humans rarely see. Long life's attained through strange food and fragrant tea. Long have they endured 1,000 forms of pain. This day in glory the way they're glad to gain. This time it was 8 rules who was in luck and Shamunk who had the advantage, for what the Buddhist patriarch had provided for their complete enjoyment was nothing less than such viands as could grant them longevity and health and enable them to transform their mortal substance into immortal flesh and bones. When the 4 pilgrims had finished their meal, the 2 honored ones who had kept them company led them up to the treasure loft. The moment the door was opened, they found the room enveloped in 1,000 layers of auspicious air and magic beams, in 10,000 folds of colored fog and hallowed clouds. On the sutra cases and jeweled chests red labels were attached, on which the volumes of the books were written in clerkly script as follows. 1. The Nirva A Sutra, 1 volume 748 scrolls. 2. The Akasagarbha Bodhisattva Dharmi Sutra, 1 volume 400 scrolls. 3. The Gracious Will Sutra, Major Collection, 1 volume 50 scrolls. 4. The Pranaparamita Sa Kaya Gatha Sutra, 1 volume 45 scrolls. 5. The Homage to Bhuta Tathata Sutra, 1 volume 90 scrolls. 6. The Anak Ara Granthaka Rokana Garbha Sutra, 1 volume 300 scrolls. 7. The Vimalakirti Nirdesa Sutra, 1 volume 170 scrolls. 8. The Varaketika Pranaparamita Sutra, 1 volume 100 scrolls. 9. The Buddha Tsaritakavya Sutra, 1 volume 800 scrolls. 10. The Bodhisattva Pai, also known as Sutra, 1 volume 1021 scrolls. 11. The Shura Gema Samadhi Sutra, 1 volume 110 scrolls. 12. The Artha Vinascaya Dharmapariyaya Sutra, 1 volume 140 scrolls. 13. The Avada Sakha Sutra, 1 volume 500 scrolls. 14. The Mahaprana Paramita Sutra, 1 volume 916 scrolls. 15. The Abhuta Dharma Sutra, 1 volume 1110 scrolls. 16. The other Madhyamika Sutra, 1 volume 270 scrolls. 17. The Kasyapa Paravarta Sutra, 1 volume 120 scrolls. 18. The Pansa Naga Sutra, 1 volume 32 scrolls. 19. The Bodhisattva Kuriya Nirdesa Sutra, 1 volume 116 scrolls. 20. The Magadha Sutra, 1 volume 350 scrolls. 21. The Maya Dalamahatantra Mahayana Gambhira. Nyaguhaya Purasi Sutra, 1 volume 100 scrolls. 22. The Western Heaven Sastra, 1 volume 130 scrolls. 23. The Buddha Kaitra Sutra, 1 volume 1950 scrolls. 24. The Mahaprajnaparamita Sastra, 1 volume 1080 scrolls. 25. The original Loft Sutra, 1 volume 850 scrolls. 26. The Mahamayuri Vidyarajani Sutra, 1 volume 220 scrolls. 27. The Abhidharma Kosa Sastra, 1 volume 200 scrolls. 28. The Mahasagga a Sutra, 1 volume 130 scrolls. 29. The Sadharma Pu Areka Sutra, 1 volume 100 scrolls. 30. The Precious Permanence Sutra, 1 volume 220 scrolls. 31. The Sagika Vinaya Sutra, 1 volume 157 scrolls. 32. The Mahayana Sradatpada Sastra, 1 volume 1000 scrolls. 33. The Precious Authority Sutra, 1 volume 1280 scrolls. 34. The Correct Commandment Sutra, 1 volume 200 scrolls. 35. The Vidya Matra Siddhi Sastra, 1 volume 100 scrolls. After Ananta and Kasyapa had shown all the volumes to the Tang monk, they said to him, "Sage monk, having come all this distance from the land of the East, what sort of small gifts have you brought for us? Take them out quickly. We'll be pleased to hand over the scriptures to you." On hearing this, Tripitaka said, "Because of the great distance, your disciple, Shenzang, has not been able to make such preparation." "How nice! How nice!" said the two honored ones, snickering. "If we imparted the scriptures to you gratis, our posterity would starve to death." When pilgrims saw them fidgeting and fussing, refusing to hand over the scriptures, he could not refrain from yelling, "Master, let's go tell Tathagata about this. Let's make him come himself and hand over the scriptures to old monkey." "Stop shouting," said Ananta. "Where do you think you are that you dare indulge in such mischief and waggery? Get over here and receive the scriptures." Controlling their annoyance, 8 rules and Sha monk managed to restrain pilgrim before they turned to receive the books. Scroll after scroll were wrapped and laid on the horse. 4 additional luggage wraps were bundled up for 8 rules and Sha monk to tote, after which the pilgrims went before the jeweled throne again to kowtow and thank Tathagata. As they walked out the gates of the monastery, they bowed twice whenever they came upon a Buddhist patriarch or a bodhisattva. When they reached the main gate, they also bowed to take leave of the priests and nuns, the upasakas and upasikas, before descending the mountain. We shall now leave them for the moment. We tell you now that there was up in the treasure loft the aged Dipa, Kara, also named the Buddha of the past, who overheard everything and understood immediately that Ananta and Kasyapa had handed over to the pilgrims scrolls of scriptures that were actually wordless. Chuckling to himself, he said, "Most of the priests in the land of the East are so stupid and blind that they will not recognize the value of these wordless scriptures. When that happens, won't it have made this long trek of our sage monk completely worthless?" Then he asked, "Who is here beside my throne?" The white heroic, honored one at once stepped forth, and the aged Buddha gave him this instruction. "You must exercise your magic powers and catch up with the Tang monk immediately. Take away those wordless scriptures from him, so that he will be forced to return for the true scriptures with words." Mounting a violent gust of wind, the white heroic honored one swept out of the gate of the Thunderclap Monastery. As he called up his vast magic powers, the wind was strong indeed. Truly, a stalwart servant of Buddha is not like any common wind god. The wrathful cries of an immortal far surpass a young girl's whistle. This mighty gust causes fishes and dragons to lose their lairs, and angry waves in the rivers and seas. Black apes find it hard to present their fruits. Yellow cranes turn around to seek their nests. The phoenix's pure cries have lost their songs. The pheasant's callings turn most boisterous. Green pine branches snap. Blue lotus blossoms soar. Stalk by stalk, verdant bamboos fall. Petal by petal, gold lotus quakes. Bell tones drift away to 3,000 miles. The scripture chants o'er countless gorges fly. Beneath the cliff rare flowers' colors fade. Fresh, jade-like grasses lie down by the road. Phoenixes can't stretch their wings. White deer hide on the ledge. Vast waves of strange fragrance now fill the world. As cool, clear breezes penetrate the heavens. The elder Tang was walking along when he encountered this churning fragrant wind. Thinking that this was only an auspicious portent sent by the Buddhist patriarch, he was completely off guard when, with a loud crack in midair, a hand descended. The scriptures that were loaded on the horse were lifted away with no effort at all. The sight left Tripitaka yelling in terror and beating his breast, while 8 rules rolled off in pursuit on the ground and Shamunk stood rigid to guard the empty pannier. Pilgrim's son vaulted into the air. When that white heroic honored one saw him closing in rapidly, he feared that Pilgrim's rod might strike out blindly without regard for good or ill to cause him injury. He therefore ripped the scriptures open and threw them toward the ground. When Pilgrim saw that the scripture wrappers were torn and their contents scattered all over by the fragrant wind, he lowered the direction of his cloud to go after the books instead and stopped his pursuit. The white heroic, honored one retrieved the wind and fog and returned to report to the Buddha of the past. As 8 rules sped along, he saw the holy books dropping down from the sky. Soon he was joined by Pilgrim, and the two of them gathered up the scrolls to go back to the Tang monk. His eyes brimming with tears, the Tang monk said, "O disciples! We are bullied by vicious demons even in this land of ultimate bliss." When Shamunk opened up a scroll of scripture that the other 2 disciples were clutching, his eyes perceived only snow-white paper without a trace of so much as half a letter on it. Hurriedly he presented it to Tripitaka, saying, "Master, this scroll is wordless." Pilgrim also opened a scroll and it, too, was wordless. Then 8 rules opened still another scroll, and it was also wordless. "Open all of them," cried Tripitaka. Every scroll had only blank paper. Heaving big sighs, the elder said, "Our people in the land of the East simply have no luck. What good is it to take back a wordless, empty volume like this? How could I possibly face the Tang Emperor? The crime of mocking one's ruler is greater than one punishable by execution." Already perceiving the truth of the matter, Pilgrim said to the Tang monk, "Master, there's no need for further talk. This has all come about because we had no gifts for these fellows, Ananta and Kasyapa. That's why we were given these wordless texts.